All right, welcome back. Close it now, Sam Wakefield here. It is a new year. I am so excited to welcome everybody to 2025. This is the first solo episode that I will be releasing this year, but watch out, I've got the whole year mapped out. So I know that there was a bit of a gap at the end of this last year. There were some crazy life events. If you knew the half of it, it would probably blow your mind. But know that we are back and on track. And I'm here to tell you that you won't believe how much I'll get done this year. It's wild when you change your living situation. If something is hindering you making progress, sometimes you got to move, right? You're not a tree, you can move. So, welcome to the first episode of the year. I am so excited about what is coming this year. There's so many things. We'll make some announcements. I've got some training for you today with some really fun stuff that's going on. So I can't wait to get into it. But first, let's go over what's in your cup. So I had a little bit of a shift at the end of 2024. All of last year and the year before, we were talking a lot about coffee. What's your bean? Where do you go? And I'm still into coffee, but I'll tell you, I kind of got bored with it in a way. So if you listen to deep dive in some of the episodes last year, I kind of experimented with mushroom coffee and those kind of things. Well, this year, they're towards the end of this year, and now I'm on this tea journey. So, I'm always ever expanding my mind and looking for new things and new possibilities. So I said, you know what? Why in the world, the British know something about hot tea. Let's give it an experiment. So I went and got me a box of, let's see if you can see this on the screen, Earl Grey by Bigelow. They are family tea blenders since 1845. So that is a minute. So they might know something about tea. I don't know if you knew this. The difference with Earl Grey is it has bergamot in it, which I did had bergamot. Yeah. I had no idea what that was, but evidently it is a seasoning or a spice, right? From Calabria. How am I even saying that? I'm going to have to learn how to say these words. Calabria, Italy, and which I will absolutely have to visit there now. But I'll tell you that I've really been enjoying getting into tea. So I have my hot tea with my hot Earl Grey. It is I've got it sweetened with cream and sugar, yes. And so, what is in your cup today? So we're going on this tea adventure here at Close It Now. I'm sure that we'll have plenty of coffee adventure as well. If you're into tea, I would love to hear from you. I know there's way less people in the morning in the United States anyway that are into tea, but one of the coolest announcements that I have is I got my Wrapped from Spotify this year. Well, the other crazy thing that happened this year is, up until 2024, far and away, Apple Podcast was listened to dramatically more than Spotify. Because of course I get analytics of wherever where all the episodes are listened to, and in 2024, Spotify put on the gas on dumping. They just started dumping buttloads of money into, I don't know if you noticed, audiobooks and podcasts. So the last several months, Spotify has taken over, and it's dramatically more now listeners on Spotify than it is on Apple iTunes or on Apple Podcasts, which was an interesting transition. So they gave me a Wrapped. Does everybody get into your Spotify Wrapped? I love my Spotify Wrapped. It's so cool. I want to know what your number one band was this last year. What was your number one song? My number one band this last year, especially 2 years ago, I actually discovered this band called Sleep Token. If you've never heard of them, they are an incredible prog metal band. There's a whole bunch of lore around them. They're mysterious. They wear masks, all these things. But they were definitely my number one band of 2024. I think the top 4 out of 5 songs were theirs. So if you're into metal and you're into epic, very emotional metal, give Sleep Token a listen. But so in the Spotify Wrapped, they do one for creators. So of course, my podcast, I found out, everybody, this podcast in 2024 was listened to in 71 countries. 71 countries. I have to say, I am so grateful for every single one of you. So I know that there are plenty of you around the world who drink tea. So everyone, raise your cup. I've got my NASA failure is not an option mug. So everyone, let's take a minute. And if you're drinking tea, if you're drinking coffee, if you got a smoothie, whatever it is, if you've got bourbon in your cup, it doesn't matter. Take it in three, two, one. Let's take a sip. Three, two, one. All right, everybody. Let's get into a couple of announcements today. We've got some cool stuff coming up. The first thing I want to talk about is there is a webinar coming up. January, if you hear this in time, so the date of this recording and when actually I'm going to release it today is January 6th. If you hear this in time, January 16th, and even if you don't, I have an opportunity for you. There is a webinar I'm doing with a man named Doug C. Brown. We're going to do a free training on follow up. This is the beginning of the year. While everybody else is looking forward, you know us, if everyone else is doing one thing, we're going to do something else. Right now, you are sitting on a gold mine, a literal, probably millions of dollars in sales from 2024 that we need to reach back out to. This is the time to do follow up. And I'm here to tell you, however you're doing follow up is probably needs some improvement. If you're like most of us, we know we need to do follow up. We just a lot of times don't do it. So, first of all, go back and listen to the Doug Brown episode that I just released this last Friday where we talk about follow up. Also, we're doing a free webinar where we're going to really deep dive into actual scripting. You know, one of the reasons a lot of people don't follow up is not because they don't want to; they just don't know the words to say. We feel like when we get into the follow up stage, we've done such a good job of building posture throughout the appointment, but then we get into the follow up stage and we don't know the words to say. So it feels like we're begging when we're saying, "Oh, I'm here to follow up. I'm here to circle back. I'm here to touch base." Right? It's like, ugh, gross. So, how do we follow up without feeling like you're chasing, without feeling like, that used car salesman that just blows up the phone and everybody runs from, right? That's not what we do, right? We're professionals. We are professionals. We follow up, we continue conversations. So, what we're going to do is we're going to give you some actual verbiage, we're going to give you some rhythm and tempo. How often should you follow up after an appointment that doesn't sell on the first sit? Like, what's the frequency? How long should you follow up? All of these things. So, we're definitely going to discuss that. We're going to go over that. And we're going to show you the coolest tool that I have ever found for creating follow up, and it is awesome. I signed up immediately the second that I saw it. So, and for everybody that's on here, I don't bring something to this community if I don't find it extremely valuable and highly recommend, because that's just not me. There's you know companies all over the map that reach out to me to sponsor the podcast because it's a top 2% podcast in the world. Well, I don't have a single sponsor. Nobody gives me money when when I do this. So every now and then you might hear a discount code or something for our community. Yeah, of course. And work out discounts. Nobody sponsors this podcast. So that's the first thing that I want y'all to know. And so, when people go through some things, yeah, absolutely. Let's get rolling. Let's see you turn 2025 into your most incredible year yet. And you can start that off right now by let's close down a ton of the stuff that you didn't. You saw so many people in 2024. And I'm here to tell you that if you in 2024, one thing that happens too with follow up is when someone doesn't buy from us right away, we falsely assume that they bought from someone else. Unless they actually told you they bought from someone else, what happens most of the time is they go into decision paralysis and don't do anything. So that's why we get paid what we do is to pull them over that line, pull them over the hump, right? Help them make a decision. It's not that people don't want to do the project; they just have so often they have a hard time just making a decision. So that is our job, and so I'm going to show you with Doug on January 16th, and the link to pre-register will be in the show notes. Also, it's in a post in the Facebook group that is going up today. So make sure to join the Close It Now Facebook group. We are about 2,700 members now, and it is growing like crazy. For everybody that's already in the group that listens, invite somebody. If everybody invited someone today and they joined, the group would double. And I tell you, the more people, that is a positive group. We support each other. It's a great place to ask and get questions answered, and just build the community, because this is that we're building a movement. This is not just a community. We're building a movement, right? We do things differently at Close It Now. And to kick this year off, I want to reread everyone the mission statement of Close It Now. And you heard in the intro, I gave this mission statement to the guy had recorded the voiceover for the introduction and the outro. But I want to read it because it's very specific here. So, within the realm of HVAC and home services, we are spearheading a transformative movement. Our goal extends beyond sales, it encompasses every facet of life. We're the driving force inspiring top performers who crave excellence not only in their professional endeavors, but also in fitness, nutrition, relationships, and personal growth. Together, we're proving that we can indeed have it all. Join us in revolutionizing the HVAC and home services industries and unlocking our fullest potential, both personally and professionally. That is a bit of my mission statement, as well as this call to action. Join us in this cause, right? We've got to uplevel this industry. If things continue to go the way they're going, we're going to see some nasty changes from the government here in 2 or 3 years. I've been working with a gentleman a bit named Scott Sylvan Bell, and we're very much of the same belief. One thing I want you to know, everybody, if you're with an organization that is lying, cheating, stealing to make sales, or they just have these absurdly inflated numbers with no real reason for the value behind it, there will come a time some senator, somebody is going to step in that get taken advantage of, and government regulation into an industry is no fun. I've been in industries in the past where the government steps in, the Federal Trade Commission steps in, and it gets really nasty really fast. And it's something we do not want. So we have to up level our industry. We have to do things with integrity, with ethics, with morals. There's too much money to be made honestly, legally, ethically, morally. If we just learn the right communication skills, there's no need to ruin your integrity. There's no need to do things that are icky or gross that make you feel gross or slimy in order to just make a paycheck and feed your family. If you're at one of those organizations, run. I would tell you, run as fast as you can. Do not compromise your morals or your integrity or your ethics strictly to make a dollar. That is not worth it. So that's going to be coming up. We're going to be doing some sessions together here pretty soon. But the other thing that I want you to know about is, let's see, I'm all over the map this morning. I'm excited. It's the new year. We've got a lot going on. Okay, so recapping the webinar with Doug Brown. Check the link in the show notes. Check the post in the Facebook group to make sure to get pre-registered for that. It is going to be fire. You'll be able to literally, if you take what we give you on that webinar, you will literally be able to immediately start closing business. I guarantee every single time I train this, when I'm doing on-site trainings at companies, every single time I'll challenge everybody, okay, send this message to 20 people. I guarantee you 1 to 3 people will buy. And every single time, it's the way the numbers work. Every single time it happens with every single person. So that's my challenge. Jump on the webinar, learn the language, learn the skills, learn the process, and you will start closing business from last year that you thought was gone. Right? We already paid for those leads. We already did the work. Let's just close it. Let's close it now, right? Okay, so getting into the next announcement, which is the big one. Relentless, the ultimate sales transformation, is the Close It Now event. This is the first major Close It Now event that I will have hosted, or I'm hosting, and it is awesome. It's all going to be off the hook. It's already it's shaping up. It's going to be at the end of April, 1st of May. So April let's see, I want to go to the website here real quick to make sure I get you the exact dates. I don't want to mess it up. April 29th, 30th, and May 1st in Boston, Massachusetts. Yes, you can get your tickets now. Yes, the link is in the Facebook group. Yes, you're going to want to be there and not miss it because holy moly, we've got some serious lineup. We've got I've got a couple guest speakers that are coming in who are monsters. I've got, of course, a huge part of the train. This is not just a, you know, speakers from all over and kind of a scattershot shotgun type of thing. This is hyper focused. This is going to be helping you become that person worth buying from. We're going to be walking you through the Close It Now sales system, the Close It Now process. You're going to get it in workbook. You're going to get it in digital download. You're going to have the roadmap to make 2025 your most incredible year yet. If you're a salesperson that has had, if your income has been within, say, 10% year of each other year after year with maybe slight growth, you're not living years 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You're living year one over and over and over. And I want to help you get past that. We want to help you break those mental barriers, like blast right through those upper limits that you think that your brain is holding you back, right? There are ways to get past that. There is some simple ways, right? Simple. It's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. If it was easy, salespeople wouldn't get paid what we do because then everybody would be able to do it. When everyone's special, no one's special, right? Like that line from the Incredibles. When everyone's incredible, no one's incredible. But it's very true. There's only a small percentage of us that can do what we do. And when I say small percentage, if you're in this community, you are part of the small percentage. That means you have some semblance of like the ability to communicate, to close deals. That is what this is about. It will help you get to the next level. And I'm so excited about it. It's going to change everything for you. So you've got to get to this event end of April, 1st of May, right before summer really kicks off. So you will be prepared to go crush it this year. So that is the biggest announcement. It is the Relentless, the ultimate sales transformation, the Close It Now event for 2025. And it's going to be fire. So now let's get in. Oh, man, I need to take a breathing break because, wow, there's some good stuff, man. It's going to be great. So also, let's see. Let's get into the topic because that's the whole point. One of the big things I wanted to come to you with. So this is more of an upper level type of a mental conversation. This is something that it came about on Friday when I was working with a coaching client. So I have this story for you. So I have the story for you that comes from one of my coaching clients the other day. And so what happened, I'll give you what happened is the setup, and then we'll go into, some best ways to handle this conversation. So he works for a big company in the town, a pretty sizable company. And when I say sizable, we're talking like, $50 million size, right? So big company, that means, and they've been around for a long time, over 20 years. And so what happened is he goes to this house. It was a true cattle call type of situation. He's sitting there waiting his turn and does the whole thing, takes does the owner or takes the homeowner through, hey, what are you looking for this process? Let's make it efficient for you. Becomes the leader, does a great job of that. Well, it turns out, it was one of the companies that he was up against. It was clearly running a type of a call it a call by call model, or the technician was out that called into the salesperson back at the shop, right? And so he's sitting there and he's listening to it, and it turns out that the person that's on the other line used to work at their company. In fact, this so goes through the whole process, and he's listening, and it of course sounds identical to the sales pitch that they use at their company, like literally word for word. So that gets done. That guy moves on. The homeowner's sitting with him, and he starts asking questions. He's like, "Wow, was that so and so?" He's like, "Oh yeah, in fact he knew you were here. He mentioned that." In fact, they told us, and so actually, I'm going to wait to tell you what they told them. And so what happens is we all know when you're with a company after a while, what's the expression? We train our competition. So meaning that as we train people and they move on, then when they move to the other companies, of course, then you know how to pick apart the company that you were at before. So how do we handle this, right? When somebody who's worked with you, knows your company, moves off to a different company and then starts telling the homeowner how it it's just the same but cheaper, right? I love this conversation, right? So in fact, so he's telling me that the homeowner tells him that the gentleman on the other from the competition tells him, "Oh yeah, we used to work with them." In fact, he knew that my coaching client was actually in the house, and he tells the other guy that's on the phone, the remote salesperson, we'll call him, he tells this homeowner, "Yeah, we used to work there. We learned all of their process and procedure. We do things exactly the same. We're just cheaper." Now, you and I both know, a big organization that has all their processes and systems in place versus, kind of a small company that they're trying to do things. There's no way they can do it the same way. So we're going to let's get into a little bit of how to handle this. All right. So the first thing we have to do is kind of prep the homeowner a little bit. We've got to give them a little bit of context, right? We've got to set the frame of the conversation. Anytime you're having a sales conversation, you have to control the frame. If you don't control the frame of the conversation, then it's going to be all over the map, and you won't be able to control the conversation either. So we do that, of course, through questions. So we start. I love when this type of a conversation comes up because I've been in that situation. Years ago when we were, blowing the company up here in Austin. We were a smaller company by most people's standards. We were well when I started with them, we were less than 3 million. Going through 3, 5, 7, 8 million, past an 8 million mark in less than 3 years. But so we were doing things right. I'm here to tell you, we were killing it. I didn't even know the things that we were doing right were what we were doing right. It just made sense to us at the time. And so we've got all these huge companies around town, $20 million a year companies, 30, $40 million a year companies that were trying to replicate what we were doing. And they're biting on our style, so to speak. So I've had this conversation a lot with homeowners across the years, and here's what it sounds like, and here's what you can do with it. And so we've got to start by setting the frame of the conversation. You got to prep that homeowner. And one of my favorite things I like to ask is using analogy, make a comparison. So when they say, "Oh yeah, they said that they learned your process, but they're cheaper," they're the same but different. They're the same but cheaper, right? Then just look them in the face and ask them. Depending on the age, use the different analogy. But I like to use, have you ever bought anything off of Wish? Or you ever bought anything off of Temu? How'd that turn out, right? Have you ever, if it's somebody that's in tools and work on trucks or whatever, some sort of mechanical person, you ever bought anything from Harbor Freight, right? Or just generally use brand name versus off brand, right? Have you ever, when you go to the store, especially if you're talking to a woman or something, like I say that talking to the home person. Let's be specific, right? Or anyone. When you go to the store and you're trying to decide between the regular raisin brand and the off brand, or anything versus the off brand, it's never as good. It might be cheaper, but you're getting exactly what you're paying for, right? So it's cheaper for a reason. Are you willing to take that risk? There's no way it can be exactly the same. It is cheaper for a reason. So and of course, I love to use the expression imitation is the highest form of flattery. So use that expression in this conversation, right? And if we can get them to agree any level of agreement that it's not always the best choice just because it's cheaper, then we have something to work with, right? And then we can start asking them, say, why'd you call so many companies in the first place if we all do the same thing? Because if you're telling Mr. Homeowner, if you're telling me, if I hear you right, if you're telling me that we all do the same thing and the only difference is price, why did you call so many companies if we all do the same thing? Right. And so they're going to tell you, right? Because most homeowners are going to tell you they're looking and use this expression with them. I say, listen, Mr. and Miss Homeowner, what most homeowners think is they're looking for a difference in price. However, the difference is the amount of work and the quality of work that's what directs the price, right? The amount of work and the quality of the work and the quality of the company. So price is a byproduct of the work itself. The quality of work, the quality of the company, and the quality of the company doing the work, and what we decide and what you decide to put in the project. So can you see how deciding on price alone really shouldn't be the only factor, right? Because they have to understand that price is secondary. If you are going through your process and you are, go once you get to the end and then it's just price shopping. Oh, well, you've got this model number versus their model number. It's the same model number and their price is different. What's the difference? You're letting them commoditize you. You're letting them turn you into a can of beans, right? Beans are a commodity, right? That's why you get 3 cents cheaper on this one. If it's the same product, yeah, of course, just buy the cheaper one. But we have to help them see that the price is secondary to and specifically saying the price is secondary to the quality of the work, the amount of work, and the quality of the company doing the work. So it's your choice to decide what level of quality you want for the work to be done. Do you want the work to be done so you don't have headaches or problems or someone coming out every year or two to fix the problems that should have been taken care of to start with? Or do you just want it done right at the beginning to start with? So you have a decade plus of headache-free, risk-free, worry-free performance. And then even with our maintenance plan, it makes it last longer, right? And so that's the conversation. And then, of course, you can, past that, it goes into all kind of different types of price scenario, price, however you handle price. But that's a huge, huge conversation for helping them see price is secondary. Price is not the primary driver for most people. And truly, the statistics are, if you don't believe this is what the statistics say. 10% of your buyers are actually price shoppers. That's it. If you think it's 20, 30%, 25% or the commodity that just want the cheapest price, then that means that you need to learn better skills in your presentation because the statistics say only 10% of the buyer is a commodity buyer that only cares about price. So the better your presentation gets, the better your communication skills get, the better you get at helping them understand what we're truly doing in their home and how we're changing their experience, how their life is going to be different moving forward. That's where the magic starts to happen. That's where all of a sudden they're not choosing over price anymore. They're choosing over, do I have confidence and certainty that my life is going to change, that my human experience in my home is going to be different, and how is it going to be different? That's what people buy. That's what people choose. So hope that was helpful today. That's something that's been it becomes a serious conversation if you're in a market where and everybody has this, right? We all know in every town there's this revolving door of this group of people that move around company to company to company, and it's like there's like everybody's swapping employees every few years, and how do we have this conversation? Because it comes up. And so I hope that was helpful to you. If it was, I would love for you to leave a review for this podcast. Leave me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. Just go to Google. Go to Google and review Close It Now. I would love a 5-star review on Google. I appreciate it so much. And if I read your review on an episode and you hear it and message me, I will give you a 1 hour coaching session. Let's work on something that you're having a friction point you have and get you over that hump. So, love, love, love. Leave me a review. And don't forget the big event coming up end of April, 1st of May. You have to be there. It is your chance to grow. Let's get bigger, better, more badass this year and just slay some dragons, as my friend Chris Sheeny says. Let's get out there and really, kick ass and take names, right? This is your year. This is your breakout year, right? This is my breakout year. This is your breakout year. Let's do this together. I'm going to be sharing, I'm going to be so much more transparent this year with where the company is and where we're growing and what we're doing. Not because I just was hiding anything before, but strictly because honestly, I didn't really think to tell y'all much of that's going on, but turns out everybody wants to know. So I'll tell you what's happening. I've got a couple books in the works, a couple more books in the works. The last one, thank you for everybody who supported the launch of Inner Revolution. I was a co-author. I wrote a chapter in that book, and we did make international bestseller status, which is really awesome. So you are listening to an international best-selling author. Woohoo! How I never in my life thought that was going to be a thing, but at the same time, I did because I'll tell you, when you vision cast your life and you get dedicated and really do the work it takes to accomplish something, it happens. The universe is working on your behalf overnight, right? It's always working for you, not against you. So it's so much fun to be in the place of, when you start writing vision, you do vision boards and you're writing your goal journals and all these things. And then when you pick up an old journal and you realize, man, I can check off like 80% of the things on this list. I've accomplished it. Forgot I even wrote it down. And it's really cool in life when that happens for you. So I cannot stress enough the importance of writing your dreams down. I don't even like to call them goals. So I'm going to do a whole session on the difference in goals and checkpoints here soon. But when you write them down, the things you want to accomplish in life and keep them in front of you, that puts your, again, a whole nother episode, it puts your brain to work. We'll just call it that. So it starts looking for opportunities to make these things happen in your life. And it's beautiful when that happens. So that is the episode today. Thank you, everyone, for joining and listening and participating. Thank you for the reviews. Go get your tickets. Sign up for the webinar to learn the free webinar that's going to be on follow-ups. The link will be in the show notes. Also, make sure to go join the Close It Now Facebook group. That is the place to stay connected. There's going to be a post in there about that and how to get in touch with that, or how to get on that webinar. Also, there will be a link for your ticket to the event that I'm hosting, the Close It Now Relentless, the Ultimate Sales Transformation, April 28th, 29th, and May 1st. It is going to be next level. And the last thing is, everybody, wherever you are, I want you to know is the right place to be. Do not think you're starting too late, that you're running out of time. Success is a journey. You're exactly where you're supposed to be right now. But the better news is you don't have to stay there. You can grow. You can become someone worth buying from.